DILR is definitely something which is tough for a lot of people. It's something which we have not studied in school. At best, you might have done some bit of maybe placement training or aptitude exam training, but CAT DILR is something which is usually way tougher than that. And the structure itself is something which is different, right? We have one case which is going to give us 5 questions, which means that if you don't find that case, we're probably not going to be able to answer anything. And that's why 80-85% people are not even able to solve one case right and get to 15 marks. So how do you ensure that you are in that top 15% in CAT 2024 where you're definitely getting one case right? Or even better, you're in that top 1% and you are getting two cases correct. When it comes to DILR, if you're not able to solve cases or your scores are fluctuating, these could be because of preparation related errors or mock errors. Maybe you're not able to solve a case at all. What I mean by that is you're taking a mock, you're giving yourself time even after the mock. Maybe you're taking about 30 to 40 minutes per case and you're still not able to solve a majority of the cases. Or maybe you're able to solve these cases later, but it is just taking more time. Maybe it's taking you 40-45 minutes for one case or longer, which is why your scores are low in mocks. You could also have reasoning related errors. What I mean by that is maybe you are misinterpreting the clues. Maybe you are not understanding, maybe you are getting something wrong, which is what is leading to part of the case or the entire case being wrong. You could also have strategic or other errors during the mock. Strategic errors would be something like you're not finding the easy case. Maybe there's a case which you're able to solve after the mock and it just took 15-20 minutes, but you just didn't get to it during the mock. This could be because of multiple reasons. Maybe the case was disguised and you didn't figure it out. Maybe it was in an area that you typically don't go for. Say you feel you're not good at calculations, so there's an easy DI case, but because it involves calculations, you left it. Maybe you're solving sequentially and that's why you didn't get to the easiest case, which was towards the end. Or maybe you got stuck in a tougher case. A lot of times we go in having this idea that this is the area that I'm good at, so I'm definitely going to tackle a case in that. Maybe you feel you're good at numerical reasoning, so you're going to tackle all the numerical reasoning cases that come up. But in that particular mock, what if that case was hard and there was an easier case, maybe a set theory, a Venn diagram case or something like that, which you missed. So you have to leave a case once you realize that you're getting stuck or it is hard. And so these are things which do take a lot of practice, and I will give you some tips on this. You could also have solving related errors such as silly mistakes. Silly mistakes could involve misreading the question, maybe missing out on a clue or reading it incorrectly or making calculation errors. Now when it comes to verbal and quant, if you make silly mistakes, maybe you get one question wrong. But in DILR, one silly mistake could actually get you from 15 marks all the way down to 0 marks. It's almost like, the snake in Snakes and Ladders. So DILR is the area where silly mistakes are a big no-no. And I'll talk about how you fix this. So let's look at how to solve the prep issues first. Now, if you're not able to solve cases at all or most of the time, you need to understand from those who are able to do it. At MockCat, for example, we have a lot of solved examples, which are all solved by Vignesh, who's a 99.9 plus percentiler in DILR. Along with that, we have live classes where you can, attend the class, try to solve questions, interact with him, ask him doubts, daily quizzes for practice, practice questions, 25 mocks, 45 sectionals. So there's a whole bunch of guidance which is available for you. So something like this, especially videos by those who are able to do well, and maybe classes where you're able to interact, get your doubts clarified, understand how to solve it, will be helpful, especially this close to CAT. Now, if you're still slow at solving them, you need to practice. If you're practicing 100 plus cases, which is typically, one case a day from now till CAT or a little bit more, that is something which will put you in a good position. You'll be able to solve more cases and the structure will come to you faster. You'll be able to connect the dots. Your solving speed itself is something which will get better. And a lot of times when it comes to DILR cases, there are two methods. One is the brute force method where you're sort of manually working out and figuring things out, but a lot of times you have a shorter or more logical way which is there. And that is something which, again, the more you practice and the more you learn from those who are really good at DILR, the better it becomes. When it comes to reasoning errors, what I would suggest is maintain a log. All of the cases that you're doing, try to do it in one notebook. Write down what is the topic of it. Is it arrangements, ranking, matching, bar graph? What is it? And note down your errors. Right? Did you reason something incorrectly? Did you misread something? What happened? And try to sort of have the right solution right next to it. At MockCat, what we recommend is if there's a case that you've made some reasoning error, you want to visit it, you can always bookmark it, and then you can come back to the bookmark lessons, and similarly you'll have bookmark practice questions, mock questions, and so on. So these are things which you can definitely utilize, whether it is in a notebook or leveraging technology. I'll give you an example. For the last few years in CAT DILR, when they say that say A, B, and C's marks are all in AP, it's understood that it is in AP in that order. If it is not in that order, they will specifically mention it. So these are the things which again you get from writing these down and understanding it. So definitely look to practice 1 to 2 cases a day. A lot of these can come from past questions, mocks, our daily quizzes which are available for free. Or if you want more guidance, you can sign up and you'll have access to even more solved cases and classes. But now let's look to fix the mock errors. So how do you find the easy case? So after this, I'm going to give you a few tips on what types of cases are easy. But first off, when it comes to a mock, you have to spend 5 to 10 minutes to find the easy case. If your reading speed is fast, look to read the initial case, all the 4 cases, or at least take a look at, how long the case is, what are the tables given, what is the information given to us, what is the type of case, things like these, and have those 1 or 2 cases better in mind that these are the 1 or 2 easy cases that I'm going to try. Definitely don't look to solve sequentially. Now, in case if you think a case is easy, but it is actually a hard case, so what do you do? So first off, you need to be a little aware of it. As you are solving, look to utilize the timer. If say around 10 minutes have passed and typically you solve a case in 15 to 20 minutes, but now you're not even halfway, or it's going really, really slowly, you feel you're stuck, you feel some of the clues you haven't interpreted, or there's just a lot more to do, you can just mark that case for review, leave some space in your notebook so that you can come back to it, find some other case which is easy. If you've taken some time in the beginning to identify those 2 easy cases, then this becomes a lot easier. And after you solve an easy case, sometimes if you come back to this case, you might realize that because of that psychological boost of having solved one case, the anxiety is off, you're seeing this case with fresh mind, and you are actually able to get it. Alternatively, what could happen is you solve one case and then you realize there's another case which is simpler and you're trying and you're able to solve that and you don't even come back to this case, which is perfectly fine because you've still got that 15 or 30 marks. Now, when it comes to silly mistakes, make sure that you are reading the question and the clues fully. See, when it comes to verbal, right, we're reading 2, 3 or 4, 500 word RCs. So we have to go fast. But in DILR, you have to slow down. Every word matters. Something which is given for a reason. So make sure that you are using everything. You need to read the clues well. As you are solving, if you fully utilize the clues, you can cross it out. What I mean by that is, if there are 10 clues, just write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all the way till 10. Once you utilize the first clue fully, cross it out. Same for the second and so on. That'll make sure that you're not missing out any clue. And if you have time or you tend to make silly mistakes when it comes to calculation, just try to write using better handwriting. Check your calculations if you have time. DILR is tricky because of the case structure, but one huge advantage of the case is if you're getting that one case right, we're getting 15 marks straight up. We are probably clearing the sectional cutoffs. So you can take time with that case. Practice is also something which will help you here. You can even look at our speed math and speed quant practice. Particularly the speed math is something which will help you because you are practicing your calculations. But speed quant again has a lot of arithmetic topics which also you end up using in DILR. At the same time, remember that you are going to have more LR cases than DI. So it's very important to practice the logical reasoning part, arrangements, ranking, matching, numerical reasoning. These are some of the more important topics from which you definitely can expect cases. So make sure that you know these well and you have practiced at least 10 to 12 questions from each area. So what are these easy cases that we need to look out for? The first would be a shorter case. So if you have a case with a small write-up, maybe a few clues and that's it, then that's something which you can quickly read and solve. Even if it's a hard case, because it's a smaller case, you haven't spent too much time in reading or trying to solve. Maybe in 10 minutes, if it's a hard case, you figured out that this is not possible and you have moved on to the next case. You can also look at DI cases, so graphs, charts, tables, Venn diagrams, things like these. A lot of times these are avoided by students because students feel, hey, I am not good at calculation, I make silly mistakes, so let me leave it. Or sometimes they could be disguised and they might not seem easy. But majority of times in CAT, the DI cases have been the easy ones. Does that mean that the same thing is going to happen in CAT 2024? We can't say. But that is what has happened consistently over the last few years. So make sure that you go through these. Venn diagrams is definitely an important area because the last Venn diagram case which we had was in CAT 2020, so you could potentially have a case in this area. But bar graphs, pie charts, tables, interpretative tables, all of these are areas that you should be thorough in. Areas that you are confident in. So if you feel that arrangements and matching is something which you are really good, if there's a case, definitely give it a shot, especially if you have practiced a lot. Cases which are completely solvable. Now for this, you need to look at the questions. Sometimes you could have a question which suggests to you that you are not able to solve the entire case. Say you have a case where you have 5 or 10 people and each of them works in a different company in a different city. If you have a question like, for how many people can we uniquely identify the company that they work in and the city that they live in, right? That means that you can't figure it out for all 10, which is why this question is asked. Or if you have a question like, if A works in TCS and B lives in Ahmedabad, then which company does C work in, or find C's company and location. Then in that case, again, you know that you need the clue in that question, which means that without it, you're not able to fully solve it. So especially if it's an area which you are not very confident, if it's not a fully solvable case, then you might want to avoid it. But if it is completely solvable, then you know that you can go for it. Taking a flip side, I would also recommend that if there's an area where you are not very comfortable, if there are a lot of theta or short answer questions where you don't have options, you might want to avoid it, because on the off chance that you've got the case wrong, because you don't have options, you might not figure it out. Now coming back to easy cases, if you're not great at calculation, or maybe your speed is not very good, then cases without numbers or with simple numbers that are multiples of 5 or 10 or smaller numbers could be cases that you do. If you have numbers like 77, 98, 119, maybe that's a case to avoid or come back to it later. On the flip side, sometimes you have cases which are non-standard cases. This is where something new is being explained. And because of that, you could have a longer write-up. But because it's something new, it's non-standard, the case could be easier or the clues could be simpler. So especially if your reading speed is good or your LR is good, give these type of cases a shot. So these are some things that you can look at to find the easy DILR cases. And I hope that takes you to a really high score in DILR. And if you want to boost your score in DILR and your score in CAT 2024, then sign up at mockcat.com. Use our free resources. And if you want to prep with 99.9 plus percentilers, just call the number on the screen in front of you. All the best.